the chair of the EDA board, and we are excited that you have joined us here and both virtually. We do have some attendees that are coming on virtually, so if you are attending virtually, if you don't mind just putting any questions that you may have that come up through the presentation in the chat, and we'll be sure to address those at the end. But it's good to have everyone back in a blend of in-person and being able to network. So thank you for coming here today. We are very thankful to be joined here today by two of our speakers from William & Mary. So we have Kathleen Powell, who's the Career Officer and Associate Vice President of Advancement, and Renard Miles, who's the Director of Employee Engagement and Programming. So as the Chief Career Officer, Kathleen Powell has more than 30 years of progressive experience in higher education career services. She is recognized nationally and internationally for her leadership, strategic visioning, and external review practices. She's authored chapters in several different publications and served as an academic advisor and adjunct faculty member teaching career planning, leadership development, and communication. She also served as the strategic planning sessions at the Management Leadership Institute through the National Association of College Employers, which is NACE, and a facilitator of their Executive Leadership Summit for them. She is a prolific presenter with more than 45 competitively selected presentations, both nationally and internationally. She currently serves on the Advocacy Committee for NACE and has held a multitude of positions with NACE. She is the past president of NACE, past president of the Midwest Association of Employers, which is Midwest ACE, and past president of the Illinois Small College Placement Association. Most recently, she was inducted into the Academy of Fellows, the highest honor recognizing individuals who have contributed to the profession, and she is the recipient of the Founders Distinguished Service Award, the J.W. Hackett Award, and the Superior Leadership Award. Powell holds a Master's of Science in Student Personnel Services from Miami University of Ohio and a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Psychology from the University of Akron. She began her tenure in University Career Services at Ashland Colleges, and she's held positions at a multitude of academic institutions across the Midwest until coming to William & Mary. So during her time at William & Mary, Kathleen has served as the Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs and Executive Director of Career Development. She was promoted to the Associate Vice President for Career Development and most recently elevated to the role of Chief Career Officer and Associate Vice President of Advancement. And Renard is a native of Jackson, Tennessee. He's a graduate of University of Memphis with a Bachelor's of Arts in Criminology and Criminal Justice. And Austin Peay State University with a Master of Science in Management. He is currently working on a Doctor of Philosophy in Learning and Leadership from the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. And in his director role, Renard serves as the point of contact for recruiters and talent acquisition professionals interested in recruiting and hiring William & Mary undergraduates and graduate students. So he is responsible for managing the employer engagement and programming team as Assistant Director of Career Education and Public Service Careers and Experiential Learning. Professionally, Renard serves as the past chair of the Employee Relations Knowledge Group and the assistant chair of the conference breakouts with the Southern Association of Colleges and Employers. And additionally, Renard was recently elected to the 2021-2023 SOACE, which Board of Directors. So both of them have a very extensive background, and we are very excited to be able to hear from them today.
All right, well, thank you all. Thank you, Andrea, for the introductions. And so, thank you. We're excited to be here today just to talk a little bit more about Vision 2026, so William & Mary's new strategic plan. When Kathleen comes up a little bit after me, she's going to talk really about the planning process and how we really kind of got to where we are today with the new the strategic plan. But I want to just talk briefly before she comes about the 3 goals and our 4 cornerstones. I'm going to go briefly into those, and then we're going to spend the bulk of our time talking about the career cornerstone of the strategic plan, which is what Kathleen is leading for the university and overseeing for us. So, of course, as we get to the end, if you have questions, feel free to ask those. We're happy to try to answer those for you and really give you updates on where we are kind of with the new strategic plan. Julie has heard this multiple times, so I was looking at her, so she can let me know if I miss out anything. But these are just, of course, pictures of us. And so I came to William & Mary during the pandemic. Actually, I Kathleen led a search for my position, and so I was interviewing and did all those things virtually. And it was really kind of one of those leap of faith things where you accept the role, and then I came and I was like, oh, you are a real person. I can actually touch you. And so so that was fun. Anyway, we went to lunch and had an opportunity to meet in person. So Vision 2026, like I said, is the name of the strategic plan. And the neat thing about the strategic plan is it was done all in-house with really our President Catherine Rowe, facilitating varying people across campus to really come up with the new strategic goal. And so, like I said, Kathleen's going to talk a little bit more about how we really got to Vision 2026, because the process started well before the pandemic, and then we had some pauses there because of the pandemic. But I want to talk about the 3 goals and what those mean for kind of what we're going to be doing over the next several years with William & Mary. And so the first one is talking about expand your reach. So it's expanding William & Mary's reach. And the things about this one is we're really focusing on advancing William & Mary's research and scholarship of consequence. And so we really want to focus on becoming known for our research. And so we, of course, have faculty and staff and students who are actively engaged in research, but sometimes when we think about William & Mary, that's not always what people think about with us. And so we want to make sure that our faculty are continuing to engage in those and providing opportunities that really strengthen William & Mary's research ecosystem to spark new discovery. And so there's going to be really some focuses on there. We also want to forge global connections. And so really looking at those partnerships outside of the Commonwealth, of course, focusing in the Commonwealth, but also thinking how can we be strategic partners outside of the Commonwealth as well as be known for those research endeavors. And so maybe changing the entire William & Mary community to, with elevating the global name for recognition. And we also want to elevate civic engagement and service for the 21st century. And so President Rowe is really keen on our faculty, our staff, and our students really engaging in the community, looking at how can our students really give back to the city of Williamsburg, and how can we be engaged in good partners, and thinking of like how those opportunities really benefit both the university and our students, and also the city as well. We also want to focus on rekindling civil discourse and discourse. And so one of the things about that is, you know, I think we can maybe all attest to, we feel like we're in that time of kind of living now where it's like you feel kind of afraid to really have a candid conversation with either a colleague or a person with you work with, because you're afraid of kind of the consequence that may come after us, right? It's like we know that we all have different beliefs, but we don't always feel comfortable being able to have a professional relation or a conversation to talk about those without maybe damaging those professional relationships. And so the university is going to be focused on how can we equip our students to really have those conversations, whereas at the end of the day, I understand I may not agree with you on this particular belief or this particular thought or this ideology, but I understand that we're still going to respect each other, and we're still going to get to that common goal, which is whatever that may be. And so thinking about how can we really equip our students to be prepared for that, and which we do know then, of course, it will lend to some great opportunities for the workplace as well. So faculty are going to be helping lead that, and also working with, of course, student affairs and other campus stakeholders for that particular initiative. So this is the goal for that one. So like I said, expand William & Mary's reach. So William & Mary will aim to address global challenges, forge dynamic partnerships to fuel positive change, and model democratic ideals to extend its influence in the world. And so that's really kind of the charge with that particular goal, and how we're going to hopefully continue to advance it in this particular area. I will note as well that this particular, so the entire strategic plan is on the website. If you just go to williammary.edu, you type in strategic plan, Vision 2026 will come up. And also, the university is also providing semesterly updates as well on where we are with those actions. And so you can go on there and say, let's see where William & Mary is. And I know Renard talked to the Business Roundtable group, you know, in September. I want to see if they're actually, you know, making some progress toward those goals. And so you can go there as well. It's typically going to be a semester behind, but you can go, like I said, and look at those updates. Number 2 is educate for impact. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one because this is where Kathleen is going to really spend the bulk of our time today. But essentially, the goal of this one is William & Mary will reimagine the liberal arts and professional education in the 21st century to ensure the lifelong success of our graduates. And so the only thing I really want to talk about is we're going to be focusing on spurring innovation via new programs and integrated disciplines, We're also going to expand access to William & Mary education, so that may be done, via scholarships, that may be done via diversity, equity, and inclusion. But really, how can we expand our educational opportunities for students, and then also create meaningful pathways for career success? And like I said, Kathleen is going to talk a little bit more about those right after my brief part here. Number 3 is evolve to excel. And so the goal here is for William & Mary will embrace change to achieve our full potential in environmental and financial stability, and diversity, equity, and inclusion, and in operational excellence. And so some of the things here that I want to talk about is William & Mary the goal is to lead the nation in creating more equitable learning environments and workplaces. And so by doing that, we hope that we'll be able to cultivate a culture of accountability for inclusive learning and work that aligns with William & Mary's mission, vision, and values. And so one of the things that President Rowe was very keen on doing when she first started with us is how can we have some university standard values, and how can we work to educate our staff and our faculty on those. And so those are one of the first things that she was able to do, and those are also posted on William & Mary's website as well. I mean, really for the first 2 years, that's what we did in every staff meeting. We picked a value in our particular unit. So Kathleen would pick a value, and then we would ask our staff to really talk about those and how did that really mean, and how as we as an office, how can we be more intentional about making sure that we're creating that environment where our staff feel like we're actually modeling and also living to those values as a university and as a particular unit. And so those are things that we've been really focusing on as well from inside. We also want to increase the diversity of William & Mary's student body, faculty, and staff to deepen our skills and talents. And so one of the things that we've recently, the university has recently done is, so Sean Glover's office, so she's the chief diversity officer for the university. They've also hired a deputy chief career diversity officer as well. And so we're going to continue working on those. And we're also, as a university, planning into the inclusive excellence plan that the entire university is doing as well. And that's our diversity framework. So essentially, each department is looking and saying, okay, like, how can we really help move the needle forward with this, and what are program and initiatives that we're already doing, and what are new things that we can do to ensure that we're creating those environments where our students and faculty and staff have a sense of belonging. We also want to distinguish William & Mary athletics in ways that are equitable, more financially stable, and also in which our ways our tribe can excel. And so I think we'll obviously see some progress toward there with some construction that's going to be happening in Kaplan Arena, which is really the home of our student athletes, and also with, of course, the hiring of the new athletics director that we had, I guess, a year ago, actually, with Brian Mann. And so really looking to really build trust within our community and our alums and within our student athletes as well. And so that's the goal there with that one. Also going to champion sustainability to address the society's most pressing environmental challenges and improve the well-being of all. And so we're really focusing on how can we continue being good stewards of the resources that we have at the Virginia Institute of Marine Science. And so a lot of those faculty members and students over there are engaged in research, whether it's in the Commonwealth or outside, but looking at how can we be good stewards of water and being really the kind of the leaders in helping preserve those initiatives. Also, how can we achieve carbon neutrality by 2030? And so really starting to look at some of those measures now. And so the university has really started communicating those almost a year ago, like some things that they would like for us to start thinking of, like, how can you maybe not purchase these particular items, but still you could carry forward with the things that you need to do for programming. So is it maybe, not purchasing plastic water bottles and maybe thinking about aluminum or things that can be recycled, and purchasing other things that maybe wouldn't be necessarily the best use of our ecosystem. So thinking about those, and so that's going to be something that we hope to have by 2030. And then also a master plan, so a campus master plan for the university as a whole. And so President Rowe opened up the faculty reception earlier this month with faculty saying she understands and knows that there is a need to update our classroom spaces for our students and for our faculty. So there's going to be a campus master plan that will be rolling out. But then also they recently announced a housing master plan. So really thinking about how can we be better stewards of our spaces for our students who are living on campus as well. And so we're at 100% occupancy for those. And so we want to make sure that our students have a positive learning or living experience when they're there on campus. And so the campus housing master plan is already, or excuse me, the housing master plan is already on the website, and you can go view that and see kind of what the goals are for the next 10 years. And then we're going to be engaging in a campus master plan that will be hopefully coming online soon. But the provost office of Peggy Agur's, our provost, she'll be leading that initiative for the university. Also want to optimize places and workflows and systems for operational excellence. And so how can we continue modernizing our campus so that we can continue with the history and the things that we have, but also have a place in which our living spaces, our classroom spaces, and the ways in which our employees work, how can that be better optimized for the use of the 21st century? And then also attracting and retaining outstanding employee and students to further the mission of William & Mary and the Commonwealth. And then also create a financial model that ensures an exceptional William & Mary experience for all of those involved. And so those are kind of the highlights of the 3 goals. As I mentioned, Kathleen is going to dive into the career section, but I do want to briefly mention the 4 cornerstones. And so whenever you hear maybe the strategic plan, whether it's our president or others from the university, I typically talk about the 3 goals, which I just went through. And then the 4 cornerstones are data, democracy, water, and career. And each of those have a particular lead. So Kathleen is leading the career cornerstone. Our data is being led by our provost, thank you. Water is being led by Derek Aday, so he's the Dean and Director of the Virginia Institute of Marine Science. And then democracy is being led by Vice President Ginger Ambler, who's the Vice President for Student Affairs, and also the Dean of University Libraries, Carrie Cooper.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having us, and thank you for the lovely introduction. I started my career when I was 10, and just to level set expectations. And let me just give a brief overview in terms of how the strategic plan came about. So it was actually started before the pandemic. And we had different tiger teams at the university trying to figure out what were the right verticals, what direction were we going, what was the trajectory that we were going to look at. Then we had some pesky thing called the pandemic hit, and we took a break. And we took a break from strategic planning, but we didn't take a break from our work. And one of the things that President Rowe did is she set up different tiger teams, and she asked me to lead the career pathways team. So we brought together over 80 individuals across the university to think about how we were supporting our students and alumni during the pandemic. And we did some really good work. We did experiential learning, internships, research, community service, athletics, and study abroad, put that in a bucket and had a group of folks looking at that. We looked at alumni engagement and how we called alumni back for time, talent, and treasure. We looked at how we engaged our faculty and how they were supporting students in their career trajectory and career development needs. And there were 4 other squads that I can't remember at this time. So that was launched in May. We finished our work in April of 2021. Then we had an internal reorganization within the Cohen Career Center, is the name that we were called then. And then President Rowe had the great idea and brilliant decision to move the folks in the Cohen Career Center over to advancement, so we could be a part of that advancement team and really have connections with our alumni. And we changed our name to the Office of Career Development and Professional Engagement in the Cohen Career Center, because the building was donated by the Cohens. The money for the building was from the Cohens. And so we had our reorg in September. We moved in October of 2021. And then in February of 2022, we launched the strategic plan Vision 2026. So even though it's like, oh, here's this great Vision 2026 strategic plan, we had been working behind the scenes to make sure that we had everything lined up for the launch. And kudos to our university communications team for putting together. And as Renard said, we had outputs and what happened each semester along each of the cornerstones. So that's how we got from point A to point B. If I didn't mess it up, so that's a win. You know, technology, you never know what you're going to put here. So we've talked about the challenges, and we know what employers are looking for, because as a member of the National Association of Colleges and Employers, they scan over 100,000 employers every year, and they ask, what is that skill set that you're looking for? So it's not only the accountable problem solvers, but critical thinkers who adapt well to change. What I put at the table, and if you don't know, but these are the competencies that employers are telling us that they're looking for in their new hires. So it's technology, teamwork, professionalism, equity and inclusion, communication, critical thinking, leadership, and career development, or basically career management. So when we're working with our employers and they're looking at posting position descriptions, we're asking them to think about the skill sets that they're looking for. We think that that's important. William & Mary is a liberal arts and sciences institution. The majority of our employers are coming to us asking for a particular skill set, not so much a particular major, unless it's accounting and they're looking for an accounting degree complete with their hours. So we think that that's important. We share this information with faculty. Faculty are keen on thinking about that in terms of their syllabus and help students understand how they're gaining these competencies within their curriculum. So that has been a great win for us. And we're also part of the National Skills Career Readiness Project. So there is a company out there called Skills Survey, and they do all of the data crunching and analytics. And they look at our students, they do some evaluation. The employers who hire our students, they do the evaluation, and then they come together to say, are we actually meeting those critical skills that are needed, and do William & Mary students have those skills? And the beauty of this National Skills Project is that we can compare our students to a national database of students to see where our gaps are or where we're doing very well, and then work with our faculty to make sure that our students are truly career ready. We also know that 70% of employers want new college hires to have work-based learning experiences. If you look at the deliverables in the Career Cornerstone, we are very bold in saying that we want every undergraduate student to have a paid internship or applied learning experience. And if you've been around long enough, and I joined William & Mary in 2014, so I've not been around 330 years. However, been around long enough that we had originally something called the Local Internship Program, and we called it LIP. Probably not the best name for it. Anyway, the whole idea is that we really need to partner with our local businesses, and we want to do that, and we want to be intentional about that, and we want to make sure that our students are having opportunities. So if an organization just doesn't have the money, or they don't fit the FSLA test, that there are dollars available that we can pay our students, because we know that students who have a paid internship are 2/3 more likely to be offered a full-time position. And we think that that's really important. So we do know also that right now in our curriculum, that 2/3 of our academic departments have an internship course in that specific major, and the president wants to make it 100%. So we're working with the provost office to make sure that every academic major at William & Mary has an internship placeholder of 497, 498. That's not so much for you to know, but when students are looking, that they know where to look for that major or look for that credit. So that's equally important. We know that women and minorities, and that includes veteran students in that group, are underrepresented in paid internships. So we're doing a gap analysis there. We're making sure that we are supporting those particular groups. And then again, competition is fierce for internships, and making sure that we are having what we need to support our students. So we will be expanding our team and hiring a director of internships and applied learning. We'll be hiring an internship coordinator to manage all the moving parts that goes behind the internship program. And we're also hiring a career coach. So that will be an entry-level person right out of their graduate master's program to help those students. So to support this challenge and to support the Career Cornerstone, we will be leveling up our staff to make sure that we have what we need to make sure that our students can be supported in all the ways that are important. The other thing that you will hear from President Rowe when she's talking is we want to be known as the best career center in the country. I want that, and I don't think anyone who's at William & Mary or graduated from William & Mary or lives in Williamsburg would not want that. So if you do right now, if you did a poll, like which in higher education, if you would ask colleagues, which career center do you think is best in the country? A couple names come up, and William & Mary is not the top two. and we want to be number one. So President Rowe is very competitive, and meet that challenge. That's important. We are number one in internships, and the Princeton Review just came out for 2022. So we made it for 3 years in a row. So we're very excited about that. And that takes work. It's not by accident. So we're making sure that our students are having opportunities. And when we say internships, we do put applied learning there. So it is the research, community service, study abroad, and athletics. We also want to make sure that we are career partners for life. So during the pandemic, President Rowe said to me, she's like, Kathleen, she's like, your office is a 4+3. And I said, okay. She's the president. And I said, tell me more about that. So in the past, our center would serve all undergrads, graduate students in arts and sciences, the Marine School of Science, VIMS, and School of Education. The law school has a very capable career center that we partner with on a regular basis. And then the Mason School of Business has a graduate management career center, and that serves the one-year master's MBA students and executive MBAs. So the whole idea is to coalesce and bring all of those things together. And the whole idea is we have 100,000 plus alumni out there, and we want to call them back. And we want that career partner for life to be that a student that has graduated from William & Mary, and you can take one class at William & Mary and be considered an alum. So we want that alum to know that they can come back to William & Mary. So instead of us serving alums 3 years out, now we serve all alumni. Being moved to advancement, there is a team that is that does career work for our alumni who are past 3 years out. And we said, why make the differentiation? You know, if you graduated, how do you know, like, do I go to the Cohen Career Center or the Office of Career Development and Professional Engagement? Do I go to Michael Steelman, who oversees alumni career engagement? So we said, let's not blur the lines. Let's just say we'll be career partners for life. And we think that that's important. And we want our students to be have the technologies and tools that they need to do this. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here once I change the slide. So again, number one, 3 years running. This slide was from before. So again, just a point of pride. Third year in a row to be number one for internships. For the BOLD campaign, as you probably know about that, raised $1 billion, which is just an amazing feat. And thinking about our strong alumni networks is very important to us in calling them back. If you think about the work that we do in our office, we have a staff right now of 10, and 8 of the 10 are student facing. And we have almost 10,000 students at William & Mary now, and 6,800 undergrads, and then the rest are graduate students. So without our alumni support, without our business support, we can't run our externship program. We can't support all of the internships that students want. We can't support all of the panels. And Renard and I find it amusing in a good way, is that I can tell a student, you need to be doing X, Y, and Z. And one of our alums will be on a panel and they'll say to the same student, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And they'll say, Kathleen, do you know I'm supposed to be doing X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, that is fascinating. You should do that. But it's our alums who they listen to. It's our faculty who they listen to. And they do. I mean, they use our services. They come to our office. But that partnership is really where the win is. Talked about the majors. Talked about that 40-year return on investment, again, for low-income students, making it affordable for our students to come to William & Mary. Again, part of the foundation board through the advancement office. Scholarships is a subcommittee. We're actually going to add internship and applied learning subcommittee for the foundation board. And I will say, giving a student a scholarship is wonderful and needed to come to William & Mary, but then what happens? So if they don't have those additional dollars to have a full William & Mary experience, we need to be raising money in those ways. And then the graduating class being hired by 300 to 400 employing organizations, sometimes it goes up to 560. So it just depends on the year. As you can imagine, the unemployment, recession, what's happening, in our world does impact the employers that are coming to hire our students. But we always outpace the national average in terms of our students. And you will see all of our reports are on our website. So if you go to the Office of Career Development and Professional Engagement, you can find those reports. We think it's important that you look at them. on. If you don't see your organization represented there, don't forget, you know who to call and where we sit and who we are. The other piece that I will mention too is that we are adding micro-learning and credentialing for anyone that has an interest in leveling up their experiences. And I'm working with the Studio for Teaching and Learning Innovation. That is Adam Barger on the William & Mary team. Also working with Anne-Marie Stock in cultural partnerships with Colonial Williamsburg and making sure our students have some opportunities. We're actually taking a bus of students October 13th to Highland. So they understand that the world is bigger than Williamsburg, and that to expand that reach. So there's a lot of things happening, and this is just a peek under the tent. There's a lot more going on, and it's a very exciting time for William & Mary, and it's a very exciting time to lead the Careers Cornerstone and call in partners. And I'm hoping that you'll be in on that ride with me as well. So I think time-wise, I don't know if we have time for questions or if anyone has any questions. And if you do, Renard will answer all of them. Yes, Barbara.
So I think thank you for the presentation. And I think that one of the big questions and sort of dreams that we all have is the encouragement of more William & Mary students to stay in the Williamsburg area, or to realize what there is offered here, go out, fly their wings, and then come back. And so how do you see sort of some of our current businesses working with you to be able to provide those internships, and hopefully those interns then would stay in the Williamsburg area?
That is a great question. So part of our charge is working with local businesses, and then actually having our alumni talk to current students about why they've either relocated back to Williamsburg or why they chose to stay in Williamsburg. And it doesn't have to be alumni. I mean, I'm thinking, looking around the room, and our students they gravitate to those who are doing things of interest that they would like to do. So creating panels, we are working with Chamber RVA, we're working with Campus 757, working with Yuri here in Williamsburg, and we need to strategize about what that looks like, but we've got some plans in place to make sure that students are understanding, what it is, what the community has to offer. And I think coming back, so we talk about Chris Smith quite a bit, and he was in investment banking up in New York, and did all those exciting things as a younger person, and then decided I really want to come back to Williamsburg. So he's a good story as an entrepreneur and as a graduate, and we're looking for more of those stories to highlight that. And I think the reality is if you are 21, 22, and you want to go into investment banking, and your friends are going to New York, you probably want to go to New York. And they do that for 3 or 4 years and then say that it's time for something else. And we want to be there when they say it's time for something else. So I think it's having those conversations with some of you to help us figure out what does that look like and what are those options. I'm at a different stage in my career than our 22 or 25-year-olds are. And, clubbing is just not something that I'm so interested in, but they're looking for activities and opportunities. So thank you for that question. Yes.
Hi, I'm Stacy. I actually am the director of the clinical programs at the law school. So the community-facing experiential part of the law school unit. And obviously I work a lot with the team, Mike Indy and Ramona over there, and they're incredible. But my question is actually about kind of the new world that we may or may not be staying in, about remote work. And like kind of going back to what Barb was asking about, where students land. What do you see coming from the students about what they are looking for in terms of like, I want to be able to work from, my job can be in Houston, but I want to live in Chicago, because I see a lot of that dialogue, but I wonder, what are you seeing on the ground in terms of what this generation is looking for about mobility and flexibility and what they want in their job?
Yeah, so we actually had a call with another employer on Friday, who they said their team was starting to come back in, and they were going to do like a hybrid model where it's like 3 in and 2 home. And he said, what we're seeing is our recent hires are really craving that opportunity to connect with people at the organization. He said, they're not asking for full time in the office, but they want that face interaction where they can get that mentoring, they can get those questions asked. And so he said, for me, I just come in every day, is what he said. He said, but our team is doing it 3 in and 2 home. And he said, but our recent hires are craving like that attention to be able to come in. And so I think what we're seeing is a more of a preferred hybrid model where some of those students are, or mostly graduates are like, if I have that opportunity to speak with someone, got to get some questions answered and have that development and mentorship. But then also I can work from home a couple of days to do projects. That's what we're seeing for the most part. But we've also talked to our employer advisory board. So we have an employer advisory board for our office. And many of them have said that a lot of the people who they're hiring don't necessarily have a preference. Most of them are asking for some type of in-person component. That's where kind of the preferences are. So it's kind of the current employees who are really seeking that remote opportunity and being able to do that. And for this semester, we're seeing a lot more in-person activities come from our recruiting partners and organizations as well. And so I was telling Adam earlier, we have a career fair coming up this Friday, and we're back at pre-pandemic numbers in terms of attendance for those organizations. We have another career fair next Friday, and we're just at those pre-pandemic numbers as well. So we're slowly seeing people in organizations in terms of recruiting coming back to campus. And knock on wood, so far attendance has been great for students as well. It's an interesting shift. We used to see students with an RSVP for events before they would come. And then we'd have a little bit of attrition in terms of in person, but now we're seeing fewer RSVPs and more people coming. So it's like, okay, so maybe we have to shift our mindset of like, we can't always look at the RSVP now as when we're talking to employers.
Are there any internship opportunities that the business community here can help support, or any gaps or opportunities of the students are looking for this, but haven't necessarily been able to align with the business community here?
So the gaps that we see are health services doing some. So in fairness, right, there are different dynamics to shadow or intern in a healthcare facility than there would be to going to a bank per se. And so we have a strong pre-health program, and students are very eager to shadow or have an internship in the health profession. So that's one. The other one is creative. So, it's like, how do I get to work for, I'm interested in film, or I'm interested, I don't know, Adam, if you see it at the Ampersand Festival, but you will have students flock to that because that's that's where they get their juice, and they're like, oh, I want to see how you do that, or, those kinds of things. So I think with our strategic cultural partnership office that is working with Colonial Williamsburg, that does meet some of the need. But again, it's like, we don't have a TV radio major, but we have students who are interested in that. We don't have, I'm trying to think of another good example, but I would say the cultural creative, that's where we've got a gap. And then the health services is the other place. And I think the other thing that you'll hear President Rowe talk about is she calls it Co-op 2.0, and it's making sure that students have opportunities not only just for summer for internships and applied learning, but during the academic year. And then how do you figure out the coursework so the student graduates on time? So making sure that it's not delaying that persistence to graduation, but giving them a placeholder in their academic career to have that experience. Yes.
What type of compensation would an intern expect?
It varies. So we, of course, do strive to have our students have a paid experience, but it can depend on really kind of the sector, right? So like our finance, computer science students, they're typically, their internships are going to likely be paid. But when you get into some of the others, they may get into the realm of maybe it's a stipend that they would receive, or what we're also seeing is what we call micro internships. And so you can have a student, say, for example, you have a particular project that you need accomplished. And so you may say, hey, we're updating our website. We're going from this particular website domain to this one, and we could really use a student for a 6-month project, 3-month project, whatever it may be. And we're willing to compensate, up to this amount. And so then the student can kind of determine, but to answer your question, we typically, like for an organization, we to do minimum wage. That's what we strive for. And then from there, students can really make that decision for how much, they would do it. But typically anywhere from $11 to $15 is what we're seeing. And of course, finance and some of those others, data, computer, those are going to be maybe more paying internships.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Renard and Kathleen. That was a very informative presentation. It's very exciting, all the things that are going on, not only at William & Mary, but at the Career Center. So it's very helpful to see how the business community can help connect and really contribute to the success of those William & Mary graduate and alumni. So thank you for that. I apologize. I also did not at the beginning introduce our city council, Pat Dent and Barbara Ramsey. So I apologize. I didn't recognize that you were in attendance today, but I am going to hand it over to Joanna for just 1 second for an EDA minute, and then we'll wrap it up.
Quickly, you may have heard about the city's Future Festival. That's their way of gathering public input into the city's GIOs, which are goals and initiatives that come about every 2 years. So upcoming future festivals that we're having are one tonight at Highland Park, and then one on Thursday at Walsingham, where it's a very interactive, fun, game-focused carnival atmosphere approach to gathering input. So if you've not gone to one, I highly recommend you go. You can even win prizes. So I just wanted to put it out there, and Marie's handing out a flyer. I'll give you more information about that. And I'm going to also quickly hand it over to our community engagement and crime prevention officer, Williams, to briefly talk about National Night Out.
You come up here if you want. I'll always not be in the spotlight.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Officer Williams with the Williamsburg Police Department. I am the new crime prevention and community engagement and crime prevention officer for the City of Williamsburg Police Department. As y'all may or may not know, this year we'll be reintroducing the National Night Out event. It will be held at the Shops at High Street. That's 1430 Richmond Road. It's going to be on October 4th at 4:30. It's going to be a lovely event. We're going to have food, games, store prizes, and so on. There's going to be a lot of vendors there. Of course, the Williamsburg Police Department, as we are the sponsor. We're going to have other law enforcement agencies who are going to be attending as well. There's going to be plenty of local businesses. To name a few, it's going to be Baskin Robbins, Revolution Golf and Grill, the Movie Tavern. We have Ace Hardware, Sounds by Victor, and that's just to name a few. We expect to have about 500 to 600 people show up. But that's subject to change. So any questions? It was really brief on that. Not really a whole lot to put out on that. I think all of y'all know about it. But,
How late does it go?
I'm sorry.
See, it starts at 4:30.
Yes, sir.
How late does it go?
It's about a 3-hour event. So about 7:30. Yes, sir.
There's food and.
Yes, sir. We're gonna be serving hamburgers and hot dogs and beverages as well. Yes, sir. All right, now, also to advise you all, it's going to be an event that is intended to be free to all those who attend. This is exclusive to the city, but of course, surrounding areas are welcome as well.
And I think there are typically activities for children.
Yes, ma'am. There will be activities for children. We're going to be having like the balloon guy coming out. That's literally his name, the balloon guy. If y'all don't know that. Also will be, is it Bubbles? It's Bubbles. It's Bubbles. Is also going to be coming out. We're going to also have an inflatable balloon or inflatable slide for the kids, and of course, well, the fire department and the police department. We're going to be showing off our stuff because love lights and sirens, right?
They don't get to play with your taser at all?
No, definitely not. We're all about community safety around.
Any whiskey pong?
No. Actually, this will be a dry event as well, just to let y'all know. So we're looking for drinks, Strange Ways right across the way. So please feel free to visit that after. Yes. Is there any questions? I have, wait a second. Sorry, excuse me. Now, if I may, while I have time, it's okay, Marie? Joanna, you cool with it? All right, so there's a couple things that I also would like to put out. Actually, I don't have the flyers here. I'm still waiting on those flyers. The Williamsburg Police Department is also going to be hosting the local NAACP's branch golf tournament this year. It's going to be November 12th. It's going to start off at 7:30. Okay, we're inviting all those who want to participate in this golf tournament to please come. Again, I don't have my flyers with me yet, but as soon as I get them, I'm going to pass them out. Right. For those of you who are owners of businesses who would like to sponsor, pass out door prizes, please feel free. Any way that we can get the city of Williamsburg involved in this event, we would greatly appreciate it, because this event is for the youth of that branch, and we're taking and I'm asking for any support I can get on this one, because it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to my command and my department. The date on that again? It's going to be November 12th at 7:30. It's going to be a Saturday. Yes, sir.
You know where yet?
It's going to be, I'm sorry, it's going to be at Kiskiak Park. I believe that's 8104 Club Drive in Williamsburg. So.
I don't know, down near Stonehouse, really.
Yes, it is. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, and again, I will be passing out flyers and some pamphlets for you all to review for yourself, at your leisure. Lastly, I want to put out, Joanna, I have permission to do this. This was a kind of a last minute thing for me, so I don't have slides. I wasn't prepared for this, but there were a whole lot of things that I did want to share with you all. Is anybody here familiar with the Certified Crime Prevention Community? Anybody else? There's a reason for that. So, Certified Crime Prevention Community is a program that only 12 localities in the Commonwealth of Virginia have. It's a certification provided by Virginia DCJS, that's the Department of Criminal Justice Services. The benefits of this certification, there's a couple of things actually it does for us. One, it gives us a benchmark for community safety and crime prevention. Another thing it does, it's a great marketing tool for those who visit, potential residents of Williamsburg, tourists. And anybody who's thinking of setting up a conference here. It also reduces insurance premiums. It's potential to do that as well. And it even gives us a preference for state grants in terms of community engagement. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this to y'all's attention is because y'all are the Business Roundtable. All right, these consist of businesses, I'm assuming. And what my initiative is as the new community engagement and crime prevention officer of the city of Williamsburg is to establish one core element, which is an element that is required by DCJS for the certification, which is a business outreach program. And I could use y'all's help on this, because I think this program will be great. There's only 12 localities in all of the Commonwealth who have this certification. I would like to be the 13th, especially considering that we are Virginia's colonial capital. So if I can get y'all support on that, that would be great. I'll be passing out my business cards for all of you to keep with you, and reach out to me at any time. Okay. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.